Welcome to Fear Coded, a podcast where we talk about media from the horror genre and take a queer reading of a single book, video game, film, podcast, or TV show to explore just how queer horror can be. And in this episode, we're talking about the 2013 video game Gone Home, developed and published by the Fullbright Company. Please note that we'll be discussing sexual abuse during the course of this episode. Listener discretion is advised. I'm David.
I'm Marilee.
And I'm Tyler.
And before we go turn on every light in our home without ever turning any of them off, I want to check in and say hello to my co-hosts on how things are going for them. Well, I don't need to because you both wrote it down in a note and then put that note into a drawer, and I've been pulling them all open and reading them. But what's making you all feel scared or prepared recently in the weeks that we've had?
Well, I am both scared and prepared. For the same event, frankly.
Wow.
So my brother's birthday was this week, and for his birthday dinner, we went to a restaurant that is closing down. That's one of my brother's favorites. He used to love going here. Hadn't gone in a while because we moved to a different part of town. But because it was closing, all of their bottles of wine were half off.
Oh.
And so we girl mathed it, and we got an extremely expensive bottle of wine that I will never buy again because it was like $100 for a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
It was the best wine I've ever had. It was so good. It was like drinking what you want, like mead and a cider and wine all rolled into one to taste like. It was simply the most scrumptious thing I've ever had, and I will never have it again. And so I'm feeling very prepared because yum, and scared because that's it. That's all that there ever will be.
It's never going to happen again.
Damn.
It's
Never again.
Do you know what region of the world it was from?
Yes, it was I'm not a wine person. My sister ordered this because she loves wine. This was like a Gewürztraminer. It was like a white wine, but from like the Alsace region of like France and Germany. It was like a
Fun.
Yeah. And it's like a Gewürztraminer or something. I don't know. It was so good though. It was so good. I wish that I had more of it currently, but I do not.
I'm just saying, Marilee, France is right there for me, and I have been wanting to pull off a heist.
Mm-hmm.
So if I need to pull off a heist to get you a crate of that of this wine, or however they store giant things of wine, I will do that. I will find a driver. I will find a tech. I will find the other people needed for a heist. I'm the idea guy, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And we will go heist. We will go heist it up.
I will travel to Europe to heist this with you. Don't even think that I'm kidding.
Yeah. This will be like the Italian Job, except fewer Mini Coopers.
One could hope. I don't want to get into a car accident in a Mini Cooper. Those are very small.
I think I found the name of that kind of wine. Yes, I do not blame you for struggling to pronounce this. I'm going to put my Duolingo German skills to work and see if I can say this. Gewürztraminer.
Yeah, that sounds very close to what my sister was saying.
And if it's wrong, German listeners, don't come at me. Come after Duolingo instead.
Wow. Attack an owl. A poor, defenseless owl.
That owl is coming into your house and kicking your fucking ass if you miss one lesson. I don't want to hear it.
Listen, David, it's very important that you always remember that the owls are not what they seem.
Okay.
True.
I'm going to keep that in mind.
When we talk about Twin Peaks, you will see.
Yeah, you'll get that reference.
See.
Okay. We'll all see. Great. I'm scared in advance.
What about you, David?
You know, it's interesting. This has been quite a wild week for me. I was ready to come in here and tell you all that I was scared, which is like sort of my brand, because boy, our elevator has got this label on it that says desfavorable, which means that it failed. It's checked. And we had a rainstorm, and so it ceased to function. And we are on the 9th floor for all intents and purposes. They call it 8 here, as we treat the first floor like 0. And walking up and down the stairs, that's a lot of stairs. We also lost the function of our hot water heater, and our air conditioner ceased to function.
Oh,
but
no.
Every single thing that I have listed has been repaired, if not improved, since the calamity. And so I guess I'm feeling prepared. I am now prepared because I have hot water, cold air, and a functional way to get up to my apartment.
Well, thank God. Oh my goodness.
Incredible.
Yeah. I will tell you. And I had groceries the first time and didn't really think about that the elevator wasn't working. And so I'm going up the stairs with the groceries. And I finally had to text Mike and I was like, you have to come and get at least one of these bags because it's too much. It's too much. It's too much.
It's too much.
Stop the madness.
Stop the madness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. What a nightmare. I'm glad it all worked out though.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited. And I love how cool it is in here now, which is making me happy. The Desfavorable label is still on the elevator, but it has not stopped me from taking it. If it's functioning in my eyes, it's working. I think that they still need to do something, but it's not broken.
Listen, if you don't look at it, it's no longer a problem.
Exactly. I mean, you can't help but look at it. It's like right there.
Just don't, though.
It's a neon sign.
Have you tried just not, though?
It's a word that I unfortunately know in Spanish.
Just
too,
look down at the floor when you walk into the elevator.
Tyler, what about you? Are you feeling scared or are you feeling prepared? What's going on for you?
Well, funny enough, our elevator. No, I'm just kidding. God, I wish we had an elevator though. No, I'm feeling very scared, unfortunately, about the state of America. As of recording, things with the Supreme Court have gone very poorly. For any big fans of independence and freedom and justice for all, equal under the law. Yeah, well, that's kind of gone now. So a little scared about all that. And I think that's been the big thing on my brain. So definitely feeling scared. I guess I'm also feeling slightly prepared because of... Jeez, what's good in the world?
There's a cat in the United Kingdom in London that has survived 5 prime ministers and 2 monarchs, who is responsible for ridding Downing Street of its mice. It is called the Chief Mouser, and I think that should make you feel prepared that there's a cat in the UK government who's working for you.
That does make me happier, for sure.
Yeah.
Great cat. I think his name is David. I'm such a fan.
Is it really David? I should know that.
I think it is. I think his name is David. I think I watched a TikTok about him the other day, and I was really pleased.
David, you got to go meet this cat.
Yeah,
I will go meet this cat. I will go to London at some point of time, and I will meet this cat.
Outstanding.
Well, today we are talking about Gone Home, a 2013 video game developed by the Fulbright Company. The game, which is set in rural Oregon in 1995, centers on the player character, Katie, who has returned home from a months-long trip to Europe to a new home that her family moved to while she was away.
But Katie finds her sister, Samantha, and parents are absent. She is home alone and learns about the history of the past few months with scattered notes and a non-linear narration from Samantha.
Katie discovers a note from her sister begging her not to investigate what happened, and her melancholy narrations leave us as players to wonder what awaits us as we slowly unlock new areas of the Psycho House until finally getting into the attic to discover what Sam's fate was. What are your guys' histories with Gone Home?
Well, the Gone Home console edition was the June 2016 free game if you were a PlayStation Plus subscriber, which was the way that I experienced new and very often independent games. So I knew Fulbright Company, they were responsible for a pretty good downloadable content of BioShock 2 called Minerva's Den, pretty well regarded for its story. And this was their first coming out as an independent developer. And I completed it in June of 2016 when it came out. And I went back to revisit it in August of 2016 to do some trophy collecting, but that involved a speed run, and there was speed running is not my thing.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm. I had heard of it when it first came out. This was 2013, so I think that was really kind of the era where people were starting to experiment a lot more with non-linear narration, more exploratory games that were different from point-and-click adventure titles from the 90s. And I think this was also really kind of the kickstart of the movement to celebrate video games as art, specifically with regards to its story and narratives. The Last of Us had been out. We had, and that was hugely cinematic, and I think kind of opened up a lot of people's eyes towards what video games could do in the mainstream. And so Gone Home was something that I really wanted to play, but 2013 was also the year that I graduated from college, and so I was pretty busy, so I never got the chance to play it. I did get it in June 2016, because I also got in on that free Game of the Month deal. Still didn't play it, though, because of who I am as a person. And then I even played their follow-up game, Firewatch, before I played Gone Home. Also another fantastic game, highly recommend. But my dumbass did not actually play Gone Home until we were getting ready for this episode.
I also played it for this episode, but wait, I promise I tried to play it earlier. So I bought this game, I don't think in 2013, but pretty early on. I got it on Steam because I'd heard a lot of really good stuff. I tried to play it on my shitty laptop, and it started to boot up and then immediately died. So I was like, well, guess that's not in the cards for me. I just watched a Let's Player play it. And, or honestly, straight up, I'm not even sure if I just read the Wikipedia page or if I watched a Let's Player. It was so long ago. But I always really, loved the story of it. I bought the vinyl when it was made. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's a really
wow.
nice. But this was the first time I actually played the game.
That is wild, Marilee. The vinyl sounds like such a cool thing to have.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. It was made by, I believe the company is like I Am 8-Bit, and they make a lot of really, really nice video game soundtracks.
Nice.
And this one is like this lavender swirl. Just gorgeous.
Oh, I love that. That sounds like a beautiful vinyl, let alone the music on it.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite video game soundtracks that I have, which is an embarrassingly large number of vinyl soundtracks that I
love video game music. One of my favorite things to listen to. In fact, my Spotify Wrapped was like embarrassing one year because it was like you listened to like this guy who makes like fun cello recordings of video games, and I was like, I can't put this up while people are putting up like Charlie X CX or whatever.
I love you, David.
You're such a delight.
Did I even get that right? I don't even know. I should have picked like someone I actually knew the name of.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the game itself, in addition to our musical tastes or lack thereof, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. This genre of game is called the walking simulator, or it's part of the exploration genre. A walking simulator, shortened often to walking sim, is an adventure game that consists primarily of movement and environmental interaction. These types of games generally do not have combat mechanics, traditional win-lose scenarios, and sometimes they include puzzle elements. While these video game elements originated in the 1980s, people online began pejoratively referring to new games as walking simulators in the late 2000s, notably with the game Dear Esther. This game also belongs to the genre that we would probably want to associate with a haunted house. It's the big scary house, but in this case, the haunting is not literal. There's not allegedly any ghosts in this house, but instead it's more the memories that are the thing haunting. But it's a big creepy house with secret passageways, secrets hidden all over the place. And again, there might be a ghost, there might not be a ghost. It's a little hard to say. It's a little ambiguous.
Yeah, but there's not like a ghost chasing you, the player. Like, I think that's to like when we were pitching this, I was kind of like, we'll ask this question next, like, is it horror? But like, this isn't Alien Isolation where you're like, the xenomorph is coming to like get and kill me. It's not Amnesia Dark Descent. This is a game in which you are interacting with your environment, and there are no immediate threats to that except for the threats that you've created in your own mind.
And I'd love that too, because going through the house, it feels a little bit like a haunted house where the explanation of the haunting is revealed before the haunting itself. Everything was interactable, and there was, of course, lightning and thunder constantly. The rain almost becomes like a white noise after a while, but it's constantly raining. There's creaky noises. It sounds like there's footsteps. Lights go out. It's spooky, but then when you turn the lights on, everything's really cozy. I found myself often going through the house and just being like, okay, I could see how this would have been scary in the right environment, but because all the lights are on like they are in a haunted house. Instead, it feels a lot more cozy and comfortable. So it felt like a real lived-in house as opposed to an abandoned haunted house.
For sure. Like, you know, just talking about like the white noise of the rain, the first time I like sat down on my, you know, actual computer now and I started to try and play it. At one point I paused because I had a phone call, and then I started doing something. And then I realized I had been sitting at my desk for like 20 minutes with just like the game up and paused with like the rain and stuff and happening in the background. And I was like, this is definitely not what I was supposed to be doing, but I'm very much into it.
Yeah, sound design is pretty great throughout the entire game. I've got to say, the things moving, the doors creaking, the floorboards, as Tyler said, that almost make you feel like, is there something behind me? But there's not. Again, if you're a scaredy cat like me, this is a fine game to play, even though it is. Many people consider this to be a pretty scary experience throughout the time. And I think the darkness has a lot to do that. In fact, in the console edition, there is a accessibility option which all lights start on, and that is a much different experience for the game. Great for taking notes for a podcast, not great for like experiencing the horror of a giant house where none of the lights are on. I also wanted to say that our friends over at the Novel Gaming Podcast covered Gone Home in their Gateway Games episode from June 2022, where they each listed 3 games that would be great to get your friends into, and Gone Home was Katie's third pick.
I also just want to point out that in a lot of ways, I think that a lot of games in like the whole walking sim genre could contend, like, this could even qualify at some points as like a point and click mystery game, because you're just exploring around, you're clicking on stuff, trying to find ways to unlock certain puzzles and stuff. And I think that that's really fun.
Yeah, it does give some like Sierra vibes from some old school adventure types of games, because it's also the appearance that we said it in the intro. This is a non-linear game, and that there are a couple ways that you can approach things, but the game does a really good job of gating you in certain points to stop you from just jumping to the end, unless you know how to do that, and then you can choose to essentially sequence skip. But I guess let's beg the question, is Gone Home horror? Though the game is not directly scary, there are no monsters to chase you or enemies that you have to confront. I mean, the overarching enemy of mid-90s homophobia. But there is only one programmed jump scare of a light bulb bursting when the player interacts with an item. And instead, all other fear that is generated in the playthrough is generated from the mind of the player.
Okay, listen. That jump scare got me. I am not too proud to admit it. I did not care for that jump scare.
Same girl.
I was just like trying to read that crucifix, and I jumped. I have a pretty good startle reflex, and it got me. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was scary. It was scary. It's funny because if you listen to the commentary, the directors, or specifically the sound designer, like, people would write in and be like, wow, it was so cool. I had the thunder go off when I went into this room. And they were like, nope, it's all on a timer. That was you were making those connections that we programmed that. The only sound effect that is programmed for a sharp ring of thunder and the light bulb bursting is that interaction.
That's so cool.
They're such masters of their craft. However, didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, scared the shit out of me, especially because that little cross had, like, some prayer stuff on it, and I'm just like, well, this would be straight out of like a horror game, this is, like, out of Amnesia or Madison or something like that. Scared the shit out of me, but I thought that was neat, like a little wink and a nod. So, as for the question is, like, is it horror? I don't think it's horror, but I do think it's gothic. It's a big empty house. It's pretty dark. You have to like turn the lights on to discover the secrets. There's a quote unquote forbidden romance. The ghosts of the ancestors still haunting the people in the present. I think it absolutely qualifies as a gothic romance, but I don't think it's horror. No.
Yeah, I think that maybe the first time that I played it, I was playing a horror game because of how I approached it. I will say every playthrough since I'm playing a much different game because I know the ending of it. Mm-hmm. But we'll get to it as we talk through like Act 1, 2, and 3 here. But by the end of Act 3, I genuinely thought we were going to see a body, and I had a lot of concerns about the end of this game that were, I think, a reasonable assumption, but also tells a dark story about how I interpret darkness, because I think the house being dark sets your mind at a different kind of edge. And I think that's part of what made me jump to a lot of things that are like, if you actually just look at them on a piece of paper, none of them are there. I think that's pretty brilliant storytelling. And that's why I made a pitch for this to be on our horror podcast.
No, I completely agree. I definitely think that it fits very nicely within the gothic genre, and gothic and horror are kissing cousins and all. But I really think that first playthrough, especially if you don't know what's going on, the game reads as horror, and I think that it definitely deserves a spot here at Fear Coded.
Yes, for sure.
But that's not the only qualification to be on this podcast. Is it queer? We have queer characters to talk about, but let's consider this with a lens of queer theory.
Yeah, I think the very nature of coming home changed is so resonant, I think, for queer people and for queer stories. I think being in a new environment, being just so much change, so much unresolved, and so much conflict does have this nice queer reading. And I like that Katie has come home, but Sam in the end is the one who gone home. She's the one who gone home. So I don't know. I think, I don't know. I'm excited to talk about that aspect. I'm excited to talk about Sam and Lonnie, of course. I love this couple. I love that it's not a coming out story, except for like one part of it. And I adore the times that we let queers be humans with human interests and not just mouthpieces for revelation of a secret.
I think that's
100%.
Honestly a beautiful way to put that. I hadn't considered how the title reflects the Katie and Sam's journeys. I think that's really clever. Honestly, thinking about the whole Sam and Lonnie relationship always gets me emotional. So maybe it's just because like the story is so fresh to me, but yeah, I found it very beautiful. I was very touched by it. I love this idea of young queer love in the Pacific Northwest in 1995. I think like aesthetically it's wonderful, and that's a lot of the game is aesthetics and memory and bringing us to a time that we can no longer return to. But just that rush of romance that's so familiar to many queer people, how there's a thrill to it, the secrecy, the potential danger that's involved. All of it, both good and bad, it feels so present in their story, and I really, really love that.
Well, then let's jump in by talking sort of beat by beat through the game. It's non-linear, but we're going to talk about it the way that a game designer expected you to experience this game. And I know that because I'm a novice game designer, and you're supposed to go left first. That's what people do in video games, which is why things are on the left first. And we'll be exploring it that way. We'll also be using the dates on the audio diaries as sort of a chronological guide on how we progress forward. But no matter how you played this game, I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't played it, we will, of course, be spoiling it even more than we've done so far. So you might want to play it if you haven't yet already. It is a fantastic game.
It really is worth it. If you haven't played it, I think that it's worth the experience to do so.
Yeah, and I'll echo Katie's statements from Novel Gaming exactly. This is a great game to give somebody if they say, I'm not really into video games. I even pitched it today at the event that we were at. Someone said, what are you podcasting about? I said, Gone Home for a horror podcast, so I don't like scary things. And I was like, well, it's scary, but it's also not scary, and I think you'd really enjoy it. And it's a very accessible way of playing a game.
I'm still hung up on the idea that we all turn left in video games. What the fuck, David? How do they know?
Sorry. Yeah, it's just your nature. Sorry, we know you.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, the door to the right is also locked at first.
Door to the right's locked. You could go upstairs, but you said, I'm going to stay on this level, and I'm going to go left. God, we know you. We see you. You were like, hey, what's this folder? And then you get your first audio diary.
Son of a bitch.
Well, the game... Sorry, Tyler. Sorry. I did go to school where they were like, hey, people go left, and I just kind of accepted it. I'm sorry that it's blowing your mind. The game begins with a title card and on-screen text telling us that it's June 7th, 1995 at 1:15 a.m. And boy, if you've listened to our Psycho episode, you know that I love some on-screen text with the time and date on it. An answer machine plays the voice of Katie, which we won't hear from again. She got a return flight from Europe, but it gets in very late, so she says she'll just get a shuttle home. Probably a super shuttle because it's 1995. No ride shares yet for you, Katie. Then the gameplay begins, and we find ourselves on a small porch, and there's a note on the door. It reads, "Katie, I'm so sorry I can't be there to see you, but it's impossible. Please don't go digging around trying to find out where I am. I don't want anyone to know. We'll see each other soon, one day. Don't be worried. I love you, Sam."
Ominous. Very ominous start.
Yeah, I didn't mention as I was reading, but where it says, "I don't want anyone to know," she originally had written "mom and dad" and then crossed it out and wrote "anyone," which just added to the sort of mystery.
Yeah, absolutely. Very mysterious. Not immediately horrifying, but it's tension, right? It's the anticipation of what the mystery could really be.
Yeah. And now, 30 years later, I will say an answering machine is scary. Answering machines were scary then. They're scary now. They're taped messages from the past. They're spectral. I don't like them. So that was scary as well. Just right at the very beginning.
Fascinating insight, David. Thank you so much.
I'm glad we don't really use those anymore.
Yeah, please don't leave a message on somebody's voicemail. Nobody wants that. Just text them like a normal person.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's ruined sitcom writing for everyone in the world because we just went to answer machines so often for anything that we wanted.
So we complete our first puzzle, which serves as a tutorial for the gameplay, opening the doors of a small side table on the left to reveal a duck, which we can move aside to get the key to the front door. Then we're inside the foyer of a massive home. Some things are unpacked, but a lot of the belongings of the family are in cardboard moving boxes. Katie turns on some lights and reads the invoice from the movers, and we get our first audio diary from Katie's sister, Sam.
The duck you move is called Christmas Duck. I just want to take a moment and celebrate Christmas Duck. Christmas Duck is the sort of thing that you as the developer are like, I need to put something here. They bought an asset off of the asset store. They put it in, and then they were like, we'll get to it later. We'll get to it later. We'll get to it later. And everyone who played the playtest was like, I love Christmas Duck. And they're like, okay, well, we have to keep this stupid duck. And it became a symbol of the game when people would celebrate it. All the merch from this had Christmas Duck on it. There is even an achievement for taking the duck from the porch all the way up to the attic and putting it in a little nest, which is about returning it home, that the Christmas duck also can go home.
What?
Yeah.
The duck can gone home.
Yeah. Everyone can gone home. The title works on a lot of different levels, from duck to sisters.
Wow.
Okay, 2 levels, duck and sister.
Yep, I guess. I want to just say I really loved the journal entries. I thought it was such a really great way to couch these letters to Katie, and you can get a sense of how much Sam and Katie care for each other, and I just thought that was really nice.
Yeah, this feels like a good parallel to Ginger Snaps. We have 2 sisters who are definitely emotionally close to each other. We hear later on with some more letters to Katie, it sounds like she and Sam had a very close relationship. So it's nice to have that as an example of a healthy, really close sisterly relationship as opposed to Ginger Snaps, which is the complete opposite.
Yeah. And we don't, what's interesting is we don't get a lot of Katie's personality. The only things that we really get from Katie are a couple notes that are scattered about. But even in the foyer, there's she was a track star. There's a couple trophies on the mantle that are about her. She sent a lot of postcards from Europe, which are kind of fun to find because they are the most teenage thing to be I'm at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, just fun things like that. It is really well realized that you are the player character insert, and yet there is a little bit of personality, but the main character of the story really is Sam.
And I think we can, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but later on. But I think we can read a lot of Katie's personality from Sam.
Yeah.
A lot of the messages that Sam tells her, just me, Katie, what I'm all about, that sort of thing. And I think also the parents' willingness to let Katie travel around Europe at, right after graduating high school is really says a lot about what Katie's personality must be like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least their perception of what Katie's personality is like.
That's a good point. I think we'll probably get to this later, but I really read it as Katie took after her mom a lot, whereas Sam was a lot more similar to their dad. And the biggest thing we get from Jan is that she's like extremely competent in her job and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I think that Katie taking after her is just another example of like how competent she is and able to like get stuff done in that way.
Yeah, good point. I like them taking after their parents. I wonder if those gender dynamics will play a part of our conversation as well.
Who can say? So Katie continues to the west wing of the ground floor, finding a note between Sam and her mom, Jan, about Sam's friend Daniel, who called. Letters to mom from a friend named Carol, who is excited about the new house they have, as well as an obituary for Oscar Doc Manson. After finding a letter to new students, another audio diary from Sam plays. We find out that the school is not great for Sam, and everyone knows her as the Psycho House Girl.
Yeah, I really liked this. I liked the Psycho House Girl conversation. I like Sam not fitting in. I think that's an interesting way to start Sam's story. For
sure. It's another way of contrasting her with Katie, because you don't find out a lot about Katie, but she definitely fit in, which I think is a good comparison. I will say, I moved around a lot when I was really young. What a nightmare. This is the real horror of going home. Because you have to go to a school where everybody knows about you already, and just the awkward feeling of that. Can't even handle it, man.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm Katie, I'm showing back up and being like, what the fuck, people? Unpack your boxes. It has been months since I left.
I really like finding the Oscar references and the Psycho House. These feel like a lot of red herrings to play up the idea that we're playing a horror game. Are we going to find Oscar's ghosts? No, just lesbians.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oscar's obituary also tells us that he was a pharmacist, unmarried, and spent most of his final years alone in the house. Ooh, spooky. And he died approximately a few months before the family moved in. So there must be some sort of relationship to this obituary we found, and we'll learn more about that soon.
Continuing down the hallway, we get to the room on the left with a TV littered with tons of VHS tapes. One is labeled X-Files, another The Dark Crystal. After finding a book about making friends next to the TV, we get another audio diary from Sam that describes a girl who plays Street Fighter at 7-Eleven after school. We get more details about this mystery girl and another note between her and Samantha in a hallway dresser. Sam worked up the courage to challenge the girl to a game of Street Fighter, who knew about Sam as the Psycho House Girl. She always wanted to see the house. Her name is Lonnie.
Yeah, not just Sam, but you really start to get a feel for this family writ large with these first couple interactions, and I love that. I love this weird Pacific Northwest family.
For sure.
Big time.
I just throughout the game, especially in the TV room, but like all over, you keep finding tons and tons and tons of VHS tapes, and let me tell you, Terry has great taste in media. It's bangers, all of them.
I agree. I just love all of the cultural touchstones in this game. We got Street Fighter, we got the X-Files, we got Dark Crystal. It paints a very vivid picture of exactly who this family is, who Sam is, and I think it speaks really well to the millennial audience that first played this game. 2013, like I said, that's when I was graduating from college, so this game was kind of aimed at people in that millennial age range. And I think we see a lot more of it now because, a lot of millennials are moving into producing content based off of what we grew up with. And I hate calling it content, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I totally.
I think it speaks to us, and it does a really good job of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agree. I can just picture this like Ranger mom, sci-fi writer dad, and Sam all on the couch sitting down for an X-Files. That's banging. That's if I had been better about. I know the dates of all the stuff. I could have looked up like what episodes they could have had on those tapes.
So you're saying
but they list it. They list it. If you look at the tapes specifically, there are tons of X-Files tapes, and if you like really look, they have what episodes they are.
That's so smart. So smart to do.
I loved it.
So do you think they were watching X-Files with no lights on, with all in May sauce? Do you think the Smoky Man was in this one?
Yes, I do. I do think all of that was happening. Quick like wasabi when I cut rhymes. You're like Leanne Rhymes. And that's about as far as I can get, I think. So I'll just move us on with the plot. But one thing I do want to say is that when you walk into the TV room, when there are no lights on, the TV is on and it's the severe thunderstorm warning. And this is where, like, the Wiggins start to happen because, like, the reason the TV is on this, like, no signal thing is, like, everything connected to the TV is gone. There's abandoned wires. Have they been subject to theft? Is there a robber in the house who's got, like, a meat cleaver and is going to kill me? That's where my head was at my first playthrough.
And for me, for sure, I heard the TV weather warning outside in the hallway when it's very difficult to make out exactly what's being said. So I just heard mutterings. And I think that was so genius in terms of sound design to do that, because it also scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, slowly we've been getting information about this family. Samantha has an old friend named Daniel who loaned her her Nintendo video games. Terry, the girl's father, is a published author of 2 time travel novels surrounding returning to 1963 and then President John F. Kennedy. But every note we find is that no one is publishing any more of Terry's work, and there are boxes and boxes of his novels that indicate, at least at first, that maybe he hasn't been so successful. In Terry's writing office, we see notes that he's left himself to do better. My heart broke at a sticky note that says "do better," and his half-written work is writing product reviews that really doesn't seem to satisfy him or his employers. He's not very good at it. We also get our first mini puzzle in that Terry has a locked file cabinet and a nearby code 0451 is revealed, which will open and give us access to Oscar's will, which left his home to his nephew, Terrence L. Greenbrier. That's Terry.
I was sure when I first playing the game, I was so sure the code was going to be 1963.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that later, Marilee. 1963. We're not done with 1963 yet.
No, we're not. But, like, the first playthrough, I knew that, like, that JFK was going to be important. And, like, the fact that in the office where the safe was, 1963 was just, like, on that corkboard so prominently. My video gamer brain was like, oh, it's the code.
I was like, Marilee's like, I've played a video game. Thank you very much.
You look left and it's there. I myself missed the code because I'm dumb as fuck. But David, could you tell us a little bit more about the significance of the 0451?
Yeah, 0451 is a code that has been present in many games where the narrative is told just like this, through independent and non-linear exploration of an environment, especially the use of audio diaries. It first appeared in System Shock, but it's also been in the Deus Ex games, BioShock, Dishonored, Firewatch, Prey, and others. It refers to a couple different things, but its reference point is the book Fahrenheit 451, which a lot of people were like, no, it was the code to their office. They chose that because of Fahrenheit 451. But you'll see it in a lot of narrative designed games. It is a tattoo I've considered getting because I love the way that stories get told like this. I think it's really fantastic. And it's always fun to see 0451 pop up in a game because you know what you're getting.
That's so lovely.
I love that.
One of the things I loved in the library is you can find one of Sam's school assignments, which is for her to describe the steps of the menstrual cycle. And instead of listing them out in order, which is what the assignment asked her to do, she wrote a short story about like an army at war and included all the steps in the menstruation cycle as part of it as like little funny asides. Like the general was ready to send her army in, but her hymen was coming out. It's just really, it gives us a lot of characterization for Sam. And I actually think the story is really funny and brilliant.
It's really interesting too, because I actually did something similar in high school. I was taking geometry class, and I don't remember what it was, but our teacher had us do a project. God knows what kind of project you could do in geometry. But I ended up writing a short story based off of the novel Flatland by Edwin A. Abbott. So basically all the shapes had personalities, and I established like a very small and simple like social order for them. And I don't know, maybe it's like a queer kids in school commonality thing, just like you're creative and you don't know what to do with it, especially in something that is all about not being, creative in that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tyler, you're a delight.
Thank you
so much for sharing.
Thank you. I will say I got a good grade on that one. So my teacher was a little bit more understanding than Sam's science teacher.
Yeah, Sam gets a C me, which is dreaded, I'm sure, even to this day.
God, a conversation with an authority figure? No, thank you.
A conversation? No, thank you. Period.
That's all we can explore for now, with a locked door preventing us from going further. We head upstairs next, finding clues that the girl's mother, Janice, is a ranger who has been transferred recently. In the foyer, there is also a hand-drawn map indicating that she faces a heavy commute daily, which is obviously putting a strain on Janice. We find a little tape in the hallway upstairs, which treats us to more of Sam's story. Lonnie came over, Sam showed off the Psycho house, and then they played Nintendo. Finally, Sam says, I found someone I feel normal around.
Yeah, so for the first part of this, we're really getting set up to believe that things aren't great between Janice and Terry. Oh, poor heteros. Sorry that your marriage isn't going so well.
I kind of got some vibes from Danny, especially based off of a letter that is read earlier or a little bit later. Daniel seems to be like just kind of like the friend because he's the neighbor. But then Sam ends up describing him as becoming weird. And I think pairing that with what we end up experiencing later, where Daniel is, spoiler alert for what we're going to talk about in 20 minutes, but, Daniel ends up being really accepting of Sam's queerness. And I'm kind of thinking if there is like a little bit of a synchronicity between the two, that Daniel's weirdness, quote unquote, might be some of his own burgeoning queerness.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's something kind of interesting to keep in mind. And I think maybe it's also just like a clue that all homosexuals play Super Nintendo, maybe.
Headcanon accepted. Thank you. That's true for me now.
Yeah, I'll go for that as well. And I like your read on Daniel. And maybe the reason that Sam was so excited to get distance from Daniel was that she saw in herself things that she saw in Daniel. And that's always concerning for us as queer people when we're like navigating our world.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Tyler, any thoughts on the tape that we picked up here?
Yeah, so the Riot Girl music in this game fucking rules. Like,
yeah.
So, I wanted to talk about this a little bit more later on, and I'm sure I will end up doing that. But Riot Girl style of music is the music genre that is found on these cassette tapes that you end up playing. It's very loud. It sounds punky. The female vocalists are very shrill and know it and are doing that very purposefully. It's queer as fuck. It's feminist as fuck. We see a lot of like mentions of like fuck the patriarchy. Later on, as we kind of see Sam and Lonnie's relationship develops and Sam becomes much more into this political scene, because the music at the time was also considered very political as well. You have music from Heavens to Betsy and Bratmobile featured in these games, which were both real bands from the Riot Girl genre. Heavens to Betsy, just as like a fun fact, featured Corinne Tucker, who would go on to play in the Riot Girls / indie rock band called Slater-Kinney, which also featured Carrie Brownstein of Portlandia fame. So,
not that I need you to play this game again, but Tucker is actually one of the audio commentaries on the director's commentary bubbles that appear in the console edition.
Oh, that's so cool.
If you have access to that, she's always a blast to hear from whenever she shows up. I mean, you also get people being like, this is how I designed the door to open, which might not be as interesting for you all, but I loved hearing about.
David, our burgeoning game developer here, who will be eventually adapting the first podcast to video game.
Oh my God. Hey, it was fun. A lot of the doors are not opened or closed. It's really cool programming. When you first encounter them, they're either like ajar. Ooh, it's interesting. Things you don't usually see that. A door that is closed, and with good reason, is one that reads, "Caution, radiation area, keep out." It's Sam's room. And there's a lot for us here. First and foremost, the eye catches Sam's locker, which is adorned with clippings of Hollywood starlets, but it's locked with an unknown combination for us. The TV has littered Nintendo cartridges all around it and a cheat sheet for Chun-Li's moves in Street Fighter. Underneath the bed, we see an advertisement for the Brother 150 motorcycle and a grade slip for Samantha's work on the engraving that she made for her family photo that hangs in the foyer. The verdict? Not very creative. There's also a disciplinary note in the trash that Lonnie received for wearing inappropriate clothing.
I love that locker, man. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah.
As an adult 33-year-old gay person, I'd have the exact same collage up in my locker if I had one. I have a corkboard behind me. I'm considering putting Jodie Foster on it because why the fuck not? It's extremely homosexual behavior. Like, come on now.
Yeah. I also love that this is when game design starts to give a little bit more personality for Katie through the player's actions. So there's a small stuffed Stegosaurus on Sam's bed, and when you hover over it, because you can pick up and interact with almost everything in this game, instead of being like pick up, it just says grab Steggy ? Stelly ? As if Katie maybe can't remember the name of her younger sister's stuffed Stegosaurus. But if you do pick it up and rotate it, you can see that on the label it says Steggy, and then your prompt becomes it's Steggy, which is, it's unnecessary to do, but it is such a fun, creative decision.
Absolutely. I really loved getting more hints about Katie's personality. Well, Sam and Lonnie end up being more well-rounded characters, because the game's really about them. I think it's a testament to things like this that make Katie's perspective shine through. It could have been so easy for them to have her be like this completely blank slate you just kind of project into, but she isn't. You got things like this that give her a real personality, and that's one of my favorite things about the game.
Yeah,
totally.
There's another one even in the closet here where you pick up a board game and the prompt says like, oh, I haven't thought about this in years. And it's some like call your boyfriend on the phone game and he'll talk to you. And it's just such a good world building.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. So outside Sam's room, we find a note between Sam and Lonnie discussing going to see the movie Pulp Fiction together. Across from her room in the bathroom, red stains are all over the bathtub. If the player examines the bottle of red hair dye on the floor, we find out why there's so many red stains in the bathtub, and we're treated to an audio diary from Sam. Lonnie has come over again, and Sam helped her dye her hair. There's something between them, and Sam wanted to say something, but she hesitated, and the moment was gone.
Genuinely believed that the red stains were blood. It looks like blood when you enter the bathroom.
Yeah, I thought it was blood too at first.
I missed the bathtub completely in my initial playthrough because I'm a fucking dumbass.
Poor Tyler. Tyler's like, wow, this sounds like a great game.
Guys, what game is this? This sounds awesome. Oh, I played Home Gone. That's the problem.
Oh, it was a baseball simulator. Like I was hitting home runs and they were gone.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I ended up watching a YouTube video afterwards, and I was like, "Oh shit, that bathtub is cool." Yeah, it's really again, it's another red herring. This time, it's literally red. Yeah, that there's more something horrific going on than initially expected. I think it's so much fun that the game developers were truly trying to have a good time with you, the player, in addition to telling the story. I think it ratchets up tension. It keeps the player from getting bored if they're not like super involved in the story by this point, and if you're not, then like rethink some stuff. So yeah, I appreciate that.
I love also that when you're in this bathroom, there's a door where the door just won't open, and it reads Katie's dialogue as, "Oh, I guess this one's broken," which is again just such a unique thing to put in because you can open the doors in every other bathroom, and it's not like this is hiding something. It's literally that like this cabinet doesn't work because it's an old ass house. The other thing I really liked is that you, as a player of a video game, can excuse things not being there and fill them in your mind. It happens to us all the time. But the designers went out of their way to make sure that there are tampons that you can find underneath the sink of both mom and dad's bathroom, and this is what we're assuming is Sam's bathroom. And it's a really nice and important touch for this game to include that. And if he wasn't there, you wouldn't have thought anything different about it. It wouldn't have made a big difference in your mind. For example, there are no shoes in the entire house because shoes are really hard to design. But neither of the two of you came to me and were like, this game was unplayable because there were no shoes in the closet. You never thought about it at least once. But to go out of the way to make sure to represent that this is about coming of age was so important and so beautiful.
David, I'm kind of thinking about it. Like, do you think that this game could apply as a deconstruction of like the horror gaming genre when it comes to haunted houses and point and click games?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it really is. There is commentary on it. I really feel like, because I think even, you mentioned you didn't see the hair dye, but once you watched it on the YouTube video, the sinisterness of like laying that breadcrumb for you and then having it be subverted, there is just a lot of subversion, I think, of the genre.
Mm-hmm. I think that's part of what makes it so fun is that we are subverting a lot of tropes. Clearly, the developers know what they're doing and have played other horror games similar to this, like Amnesia. And they're having fun with it. I think that also extends to the fact that you can interact with pretty much any item that you find. That's also really common in like Amnesia or Elder Scrolls or any of the other Bethesda games. And so many of them serve no purpose. They're just kind of there. And then so I think that's also kind of subverting expectations a bit.
Yeah.
So continuing to explore the upstairs, we can go into Janice and Terry's room and find many of their drawers pulled out and clothes strewn about. Under Janice's side of the bed, you can find a book with a bookmark from someone named Rick, and another letter from Janice's friend Carol, who asks for details about this Ranger Rick. On the floor of the small guest room is a note from Sam to Katie, and it says that Katie came home on such short notice that no one had made up a room for her, but that she says she can use Sam's room. Sam writes, "I won't be needing it anymore." Inside the room, in an old school composition notebook, we see the journal that Sam and Lonnie have been keeping about the ghost sightings in the house, speculating about the sightings that might be Oscar.
Wow. You know what, Katie? On behalf of second and third children everywhere, it's time for you, a first child, to feel neglected because mom and dad were like, you know what? She's just coming home. It's your job, Katie. Figure it out. You were in Europe. Make your own bed.
Brutal.
But wow, that note from Sam, I won't be needing it anymore. That's hard to read.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
Ominous.
I think the composition notebook also kind of like plays with that a little bit in the sense that there could be something supernatural going on. But I like think of it as yet another red herring, but it's not a red herring that's just there to kind of deceive you. Instead, it's informing this growing relationship between Sam and Lonnie. I found it very adorkable to bring back a phrase from around the time this game came out. I think that going ghost hunting with your soon-to-be girlfriend and is just so cute. And
so
and
cute.
It's so dorky, and I love that. It feels so uniquely teenagery to do.
Yeah. I like that they're not taking the ghost seriously, which then only made me as the player more convinced that there really is a ghost and that they should take it seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair. So, guys, when did you guys start to think that Jan and Rick were gonna have an affair? Did you ever?
Right around here.
Yeah, for me, it was right here. Yeah, I'm with Tyler. It was right here. It was the letter from Carol that made me think that this was a thing because I felt like the bookmark was just a red herring. I was like, people give people bookmarks all the time in the 90s. This is not a thing. But when I read the letter from Carol, which was like, ooh, hunky Ranger Rick, I wonder if he's single. You should hit that. I was like, oh no, mom is already gossiping with like her bestie on this. She is going for it.
Yeah, totally.
That's fair.
I I kind of feel for Carol a little bit too. I think that Carol's like digging into like, ooh, Jan, is there a relationship? What's going on? Is really more of her kind of sublimating her own unhappiness with her life and pushing it towards Jan because like, ooh, wouldn't it be nice, me, Carol, to have like a hunky, national park ranger boyfriend when her life, like, they got vinyl on their walls in their house in Winnipeg. Like, that's like the big highlight for her. So Carol's life is definitely a little bit worse for wear, and I think that's coloring our view of this relationship between Jan and Rick. I will say, though, that there is an Earth, Wind, and Fire poster in the parents' bedroom, and that's who Jan sees with Rick.
Oh, interesting. I did not catch that, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's such a great pull.
Yep.
Like, like there were the little hints of it here. When I saw that concert ticket and I found out that it was from, like, they went together, I was like, oh, okay, so they definitely fucked here, right? Was very surprised to find out that they probably didn't, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and again, and going back to the horror of it all,
Mm-hmm.
coming into this room and seeing all of these dressers pretty much like rifled through, like somebody was on the hunt for something or somebody was packing in a hurry, again, left me with so many questions as the player.
Did we ever really get an answer as to why the drawers were all, like,
Yep.
pulled apart?
We do.
Can you explain? Because, again, I'm a dumbass.
The couple, Jan and her husband, whose name I've forgotten for some reason now. Terry, thank you. Jan and Terry have gone on an anniversary trip that seemed very last minute, and it is heavily implied that they called for relationship counseling and are at a relationship counseling retreat that they booked very last minute.
Interesting. Okay, because I was...
moreover than that, Sam also ransacked the house to get stuff to steal and sell it so that she and Lonnie would have money.
Nice.
I didn't consider that. You know what? That's probably you're probably absolutely right, Marilee. But I truly read Jan and Terry's room as them like, we're going. Let's just grab some undies and go. But you're probably right. This is probably also Sam, and Sam took all the shoes.
Shoes are expensive.
No, like, I figured she's the one who took like all of the VCRs and stuff.
Yep.
It's like those are easy to sell. And maybe she was looking for like cash in their underwear drawer or something.
You're absolutely right.
You know what she ends up finding, and Katie does as well, is a condom in the drawers. And Katie just sees it and goes, oh, barf.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome. I love that. I love Katie's very Katie's sort of an ace hero and she's a little sex repulsed. And I love that for Katie. Good for you, Katie.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I also love, or I didn't love, but I did have to go through the parents' room and close all the drawers. I don't know if you all chose to do that also.
Yeah,
I did.
I was really hoping there was an achievement for like leaving everything open because I realized that I was doing this when about like in the TV room. Where I was like closing everything. I left the lights on, obviously, because I'm not a monster.
Yeah.
But this is my house. I'm making it neat and tidy. So I always put everything back and I closed everything up, and it looked nicer when I left than when I came through.
It's funny that you say you left the lights on because that's an in-character experience. There's a note, blink and you miss it, outside of Sam's room that is a note from Mom that says, Sam, turn off the lights if you're not in the room anymore. Gosh, you're as bad as your sister. And it's so rewarding to see that because you have probably left lights on throughout the entire house. And at that moment of seeing the note, you can be like, I'm just role playing. No big deal.
One last thing I want to say about the parents' room. If you go into their bathroom, you can find a book in there that says like After the Honeymoon. And it's basically about how to rekindle passion in a Christ-like way. I think that, so not only did Katie have a negative reaction to that, I don't remember specifically what it was, but it was definitely negative. It's also informing the fact that like, oh, Janice at the very least seems like pretty Christian, like white lady Christian. And that kind of informs the characters and their behavior as the story progresses.
Yeah, there's even a Bible in her bedside table.
Yep.
Or Dad's bedside table, Terry's bedside table. So it's probably both of them.
Yep.
Well, down the hallway from the spare bedroom that nobody made up for Katie, poor Katie. Also, your suitcase is still on the patio, Katie. Get your life together.
She's got more important stuff going on, David.
I know, right? Well, like this hallway that is truly terrifying to me because it is all lit with these like Christmas red lights, but a placard on the wall tells us that the red lights actually indicate that Sam is processing photographs in her attic turned dark room. But that's locked. So we head into the adjacent craft room where we find a note from Lonnie inviting Sam to a concert, which Sam's audio diary informs us is a lie to mom and dad situation. We also find a note of a hand-drawn map of the house. In some of Sam's school things, her and Lonnie have discovered a secret passage between the closet in mom and dad's room that goes to the library in the office where Terry works. If we go into the closet, there is now a prompt for open panel, which leads us into this hidden hallway full of magazine clippings, another hand-drawn map that tells us where there are false panels throughout the house, and the famed crucifix. If the player picks up the crucifix, thunder plays and a light bulb shatters.
I did not care for that.
Nope.
Yeah, very, very scary.
I had instant flashbacks to being ditched in Phasmophobia and left to die. So I was very upset, which means I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, Marilee mentioned this, but like the part of the, like, anytime Katie picks something up to look at it, you sort of zoom in on it. And so if you're trying to read the crucifix, because there's something written on it and it seems kind of important, but then poof, the light is out and that's when the thunder goes. And so it's almost like you're focusing more in on your screen when something big happens. And that's like a horror movie trope, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I gotta say, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I will continue to say it, did not care for this.
Well, it's a shame the lights go out because those magazine clippings might be important for our discussion of Oscar, because it is Oscar's crucifix, and the clippings are all of women's fashion, which is what Oscar must have been looking like while he was locking himself in this secret passageway. And we'll try to find out more about Oscar in a bit.
So, with new markers on our map, we can check out the hidden panels. The first has a flyer from the concert Lonnie and Sam went to. If we pick it up, we get more of Sam's story. They stayed out at a friend's place and shared a futon. Lonnie tells Sam that she really likes her, and Sam hoped that meant what she thought it meant. My heart was exploding during this whole thing.
I love love.
Yeah, this is capturing teenage love in such a wonderful way. The idea of looking at someone that you care about, hoping that they feel the same, them telling you that they feel the same, and you being like, but is that really what that meant? And second guessing yourself. It is so precious. And it made me just, I will die for Sam.
Comparing herself to a shook up can of soda is such wonderful writing, because that is exactly what that feels like. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good.
For real quick, is this the one that also has the story that Sam wrote?
It is not. That is one of the next two panels. The story was in one of the locker combo panels.
Okay, I shall talk about that later.
Yes, soon. Very soon. Next.
Inside the other two panels are the two halves of Sam's locker combination. There's also a spirit board that Lonnie and Sam used to speak to Oscar. Now that we have all of that, we can open the locker and we find inside some stolen shirts, a magazine for men, a key to the basement, and a photo of Lonnie. Looking at the photo or grabbing the key gives us another audio diary. Lonnie comes over to apologize. Sam says there's nothing wrong. Sam begins to ask if she could ever, but Lonnie fills the space by kissing her.
Yeah, so in the second one of these, the one that doesn't have the spirit board, sorry, the generic term for a Ouija board, that is where the story that Tyler mentioned is as well.
I felt so worried for the inevitable queer rejection, and I was so fucking happy when it turned out this direction. Because again, we're so used... I love that this game subverts a lot of our expectations, because we're so used to this narrative of being like, oh, they have a shared queer moment and they're teenagers, and then one of them freaks out and is just like, no, that was a mistake, we never did that. And then boom, they kiss. And it was so beautiful.
We haven't talked about it, but anytime an audio diary plays, you get this orchestral music that adds to the overall effect, which dims some of the rain and thunder sounds just to play these really nice themes. And this is where we get Sam and Lonnie's theme. And it is brilliant, and it is heart-wrenching, and it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites on the soundtrack. I just love it.
Yeah.
I also think it's really funny to note that Sam and Terry have the same taste in porn, because Katie finds that in the locker, and it's the same thing that she finds in with her dad's stuff. And Katie says the same thing upon discovering both of them. I just think that's a really fun little note.
Oh,
gosh. The prompt is either "Gosh, Dad" or "Gosh, Sam," and it's cute. It's really resonant.
Mm-hmm. It's very funny.
Yeah, did you say that this is where we find the story?
Yeah, this is where we find the story.
Yeah, so in one of the locker.
We've seen the characters from the story in a couple different write-ups that Sam has done, but this is like the story.
Yes, and I fucking loved it. It's so queer and kind of trans. Not even kind of. It's like very trans. And just
it's
like
really nice.
Oh man, like the feelings that are being felt here. Just the way that Captain Allegra, who is the Sam stand-in in these stories, says, "That's the love of my life and you can't have her," after the Amazons transition the first mate from a boy into a girl and says she's one of us now. Like, that's so fucking beautiful as a way to demonstrate Sam's burgeoning sexuality, her love for Lonnie, the way that her art is changing dependent upon her new mindset. And I think it becomes much more strong as a result of that too. But I do think Sam is also nervous about it because it says do not read on the cover.
Yeah. Which makes us think, would she ever share her writing with someone else? And we're about to get the answer to that question very soon.
I honestly feel like we already have gotten the answer to that question, because if in the craft room you can see their Halloween costumes, and Sam dresses up as Captain Allegra, and the Lonnie's costume is a pirate, I think the first mate.
Interesting. I did not clock the costumes as part of this.
Yep.
But let me tell you what I knew about her creative writing, because now that we've got the basement key from her locker, weird place to put it, but whatever, we're in a video game. We screw her. Listen, we are going into the basement. And so I screwed my courage to the sticking place and I headed downstairs because that's what the game wants me to do. There are a few letters that we can read that is just more silly love between Lonnie and Sam, including a love note that triggers an audio diary that confirms to us that Lonnie and Sam are dating and they told each other that they love each other. This is happening, which is awesome. There's also a letter attached to the back of one of Terry's books from his father, who is disappointed in him and his writing. And in the same small room in the basement, we see a letter that Sam has received from Reed College that she has been accepted for a creative writing program with a full scholarship. After reading, we get another part of Sam's story. When she shared that she got into the program, Lonnie reminded her that she ships out on June 6th for basic training.
A lot of feelings in this one. The basement is a wonderful transitory area that we're in as we move into the next phase of this story. I love that Lonnie and Sam are dating and they're in love, and it's going beyond puppy love. We could tell that there is sincerity to this. I found that letter from Terry's dad to be a nightmare scenario for me. Yeah. As someone who is very proud of their writing, if I ever received feedback like this from someone so close to me, I would be emotionally devastated. And I could see why Terry, punched out a hole or punched out the face of his dad in the cardboard standee of him down here in this basement. I actually just watched a movie that kind of speaks to this sort of thing called You Hurt My Feelings, which I initially kind of perceived as being a little bit emotionally immature, with regards to how it feels to get feedback from someone so close to you. But first of all, it's a fantastic Sunday afternoon movie. I highly recommend people watch it. But it's the similar theme of how does it feel when someone hurts you so badly like this about something that is your thing. You're a writer. And I think that definitely plays into Terry's mindset. We see a lot of evidence that he might have some alcohol problems. His writing is not going well. The books are all over the place. So the fact that he's not getting support from literally anyone and going all the way back to his father, and it's brutal. It's rough. So I felt for Terry here. But of course I ended up feeling a lot more for Sam and Lonnie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really love knowing about Sam's creative writing program. I know that she doesn't end up going to it, but this was one of the few things regarding her school career that wasn't negative in some way. So I was really glad to see that, like, at some point in her schooling journey, at least somebody was encouraging to her about her writings.
Yeah. And I do think that there's really fun theming that's being talked about here in how Sam approaches creative writing, how Terry approaches creative writing, and how Katie approaches creative writing. Because you can find, and you like have to almost get lost to find it, but in a pile of Katie's old school things, there is the same menstruation assignment. And when you flip the page, Katie completed it like a total square, following the instructions exactly. Loser. Just like, I loved this detail. I am obsessed with it. And I just want to say that the menstruation exercise actually came from a Washington public school that the game developers contacted and said, could you give us like an assignment for like a young girl in health class? And this is what they gave them.
That's awesome.
That's so fun.
In a small room in the basement, we could see a set list for Girl Scout, the band, and get an audio diary from Sam that Lonnie is singing in the band after the other singer dropped out. There's also a safe down here, but we're not sure what to do with that yet. In the next room, looking at a postcard that Lonnie wrote to Sam gives us another audio diary. Sam and Lonnie got lost in the woods on a field trip, and the school called her parents, who complained that she was never like this before she met this Lonnie girl.
This audio diary is called Stick with the Group, and Sam frequently says stick with the group. It's one of the most impactful for me because it's really about, if you're different, you just need to fit in. And she's saying it almost in this mocking way to her sister Katie. And we know enough about Katie that Katie stuck with the group. Katie is the group. And I really liked it as sort of this almost sardonic nod from a sister who loves you very much, of like, you're never going to have to deal with the thing that I'm dealing with right now. And I don't know. It's just, this was one of my favorite audio diaries.
I really like this one. The whole stick with the group mindset really, to me, spoke about like passing. It's like, if you want to be able to make it through high school, which is a deeply traumatic experience for anybody, you have to have this like level of camouflage in order to survive it in some way. And I just thought it was a really interesting audio note.
Yeah, and I was really nervous when the school said that, or when Katie said that the school called home, and Mom and Dad said, you didn't get in trouble like this before you met that Lonnie girl, but they don't know. No, I think that's definitely something relatable for a lot of us that grew up with family that was like kind of Christian or full Christian or whatever, and just, doesn't want to believe that what their eyes are seeing, and Katie has to deal with that, or sorry, not Katie, Sam has to deal with that a little bit later, but it definitely started picking up a real sense of fear and anxiety, something that hasn't been present with all the red herrings, and it's very effective.
Yeah.
As we start to leave the basement, we find a room that Lonnie and Sam have used to print a zine kicking across the patriarchy and a letter from the principal at Goodfellow Senior High School to Sam, telling us about Sam's advocacy for Lonnie. After looking at it, another audio diary asks even more questions. How can Lonnie be anti-establishment, but also be into ROTC and ready to ship off? What about Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, but I just gotta say at the top, zines! It's 1995! I'm so happy. Did you all ever mess with zines, or are you a little too young?
I never made a zine. I own a couple zines, and I know some people who are also making zines still, which is insane,
Nice.
but yeah, I think that shit's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I have a couple zines now from people who've made them in like the zine renaissance, but no, I was a little too young for zines.
I published and edited a zine called Zap in Washington, D.C. for queer young people from 1999 to 2000. So just a
You're
year.
the coolest.
Doesn't
You're
seem
the
that long,
coolest.
actually, now that I said it out loud. It was wild. It was a wild experience, and it involved many, many days collating and stapling. So the real heroes of the world are people who make a zine ready for you to read.
Absolutely, yeah.
I also love in this little room, there is an almost impossible to find note on the floor that is very intimate between Sam and Lonnie. And after looking at the note for a period of time, the game stops you and the prompt switches to not reading that, which is the character prohibiting the player from doing something. And that's in 2013 unheard of, to stop the player from activating their character and to insert themselves. It is possibly one of the best moments of the game to me from a game design perspective.
I can totally see that.
I didn't realize that note was supposed to be so hidden because I found it no problem.
I like that the two of you really are on the perfect spectrum here of Tyler being like, I missed whole rooms, and Marilee being like, oh no, I found everything.
No, so there's one audio note that I missed. It was the one about the nunnery. That's the only thing I missed. I found that one. I found the menstruation one. I didn't realize they were that hidden. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It was hidden for me.
Okay.
It's a shame. It's a shame, Tyler, because it's a cool moment that they stopped you. Yeah.
I also really love that Lonnie is portrayed as a very complicated character. People have beliefs and thoughts that are often in conflict, but they exist because we want them to. I think that's something that I've noticed in the past couple of years seems to be a little difficult for people to grasp. At least people that are chronically online.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, what a layup that you couldn't even know was here because I didn't put it in the notes. But I did some research for this game and found myself on a Reddit thread complaining about the wokeness of this game because they included a reference to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And this person got downvoted to oblivion because the next comment was, it was the fucking 90s, you jackass.
Wow.
Oh, I loved it.
All Reddit.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Yeah, just really, really, really cool. But before we leave the basement, there's actually a couple different directions we go. We can go upstairs to discover a hidden passageway that leads into the guest room. And if we activate that door, we get a note from Oscar's pharmacy that tells us the safe code, which is 1973. If we open the safe, the code to the safe is 1963. Obviously, that's the date that I referenced earlier with Marilee. If we open the safe, we get a letter from Oscar to Terry's sister that has been returned, begging forgiveness and a connection to his family that is dated 1973. So before we move on, let's talk about Oscar. In the safe room, there's a series of markers on the wall where Terry's height was recorded, the last of which was in 1963. An article in the basement tells us that Oscar sold his pharmacy for $1 to his assistant in 1965 and pretty much never left the house again. A hidden compartment in Terry's desk contains a letter from Oscar in 1973, the year he changed his will, the year he asked for forgiveness from his sister, that said Oscar learned of his marriage, Terry's marriage, and has been consumed thinking about Terry's welfare. He invites Terry to the house, but we can assume that never happened. There are two major theories online about what happened, but what did you all think about Oscar, and what did you think happened all those years ago?
So once again, I totally missed this because I was playing, I guess I was playing Super Mario Brothers instead when I should have been playing this game. God, I got the main plot. You guys. I figured out, like...
It would have been great if Tyler had showed up and been like, who were these girls? I never understood who they were. We're
in Oregon?
God bless. What?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So I missed the Oscar stuff. Reading the notes, this was all revealed to me, and on one hand I kind of wish I had figured this stuff out on my own, but on the other hand, like, I'm really glad that I got to see our notes first, because to me, I truly don't know what to think. And after I looked up the letter afterwards, I was still in a place of just being like, there's some deliberate ambiguity here, and I don't know where I come out at the other end. So I would like to hear you two talk about what your prevailing theories are first, and then I'll come at you with mine.
Yeah, well, let me talk about what the internet's got, and then we'll let Marilee go, and I think I'm on the other end of this. The prevailing theories are that Oscar either assaulted Terry, or that Terry found out about Oscar being gay or a crossdresser. Given the almost hero worship that Lonnie and Sam have to offer for Oscar, I'm more inclined to think that the narrative is that he's queer, or that's at least the reason for their reverence.
Yeah, I am going to be 100% honest. To me, like, again, this is the first time I actually played the game, but, you know, I've been familiar with it for a really long time, and I think that I must have just gone along with the general thought that this was an assault. And I still think that narrative does make a little bit of sense, especially given the way that Oscar seemed to seek penance and how Terry was obsessed with the year 1963, which presumably would be when this happened. So I don't think I ever really considered any kind of alternate reading. However, I like that a lot more. I would love for that to be the case, and I'm going to choose to embrace that narrative instead, because I think it's entirely too sad, and I don't want that for Terry. I don't want that for anybody. So
yeah, it's really complicated, right? Because the game designers have talked about this openly on Twitter, and the one of the main writers said that his authorial intent was to make this read like an assault. But I will also say that in the audio logs that he recorded for the director's commentary, he openly said, I didn't know what I was doing. I was writing a narrative about a teenage girl falling in love with and being queer. And I was a teenager, but I was never a girl, and I was never queer. And his sort of admitting of being straight made me say, then I don't think you wrote an assault from an uncle to a nephew correctly. I think the dresses or the women's fashion that you find in the hidden compartment way tell a different story to me. I think it could still tell a story of assault, but it tells Oscar's penance in a much different way, that maybe he was in there trying to think about women, which then speaks to a sort of a queer realization. I don't know what the true answer is. I do know that Terry definitely saw something in 1963 with fucked him up, because even in his like product reviews for like new VCRs, people are like, you're writing a lot about your childhood, and I don't need that in a review of a VHS player.
I never really considered the like the women's fashion stuff in the secret passageway as truly having anything to do with Oscar, because to me, looking at that just kind of looks like that's what the inside of walls look like, because at the time during this construction you would find that a lot of that stuff lining those, they just used whatever they had on hand. So I never really considered that was like a deliberate choice of him wallpapering that. I just, you know, read like old house stuff to me. So
yeah.
I would like that it to not be an assault, frankly. I think that that's where I'm going to be. I think that it being just that he was a gay man makes the gameplay nicer.
Yeah. Well, and I think the only reason for it, because I think characters can have complicated and shitty backstories, but because Lonnie and Sam care so much about Oscar, it would be very weird for then Oscar to have been such a monster, because our key characters who we have learned to care a lot about show a type of like reverence and happiness towards this man. And I don't know. I think then there's if he is queer and was ostracized for being so, that has a much more poignant reading for queer audiences.
Yeah. So based off of what you were all saying and kind of coming from my perspective on this, I'm inclined to agree that there is, I don't want it to be assault. Maybe that was the original intent, but the author also originally like admits like, I don't really know what I was doing. So
Right.
I think that there is a component of death of the author there, which is totally valid for us to consider. I am in agreement with Marilee about the inside of houses just kind of looking like that, especially ones that are really, really old like this one. However, I do think that just because they might have been used for insulation, if we are going with the theory that Oscar may have been cross-dressing or experimenting with gender, this might be a part of that. Like, it just so happens to be there, and it just so happens to be what he needs to help reinforce or try to push away his thoughts about his gender expression and sexuality. I also think it's a little bit reminiscent of the play and then the movie Doubt, which the author of that play is the only one who really knows the answer to what the priest did in that movie, whether it was assault or it was something more innocent. And that's it. That's the only person who knows. No one else knows. I think that we can just kind of let this mystery be. And that's okay that we're never going to have the answers. There's a lot of subversion here within this game. I think this also plays into that with like gay panic. We're subverting that during the time period that this would have happened, and it was clearly something that was traumatic for Terry, and Terry is the victim here. But there's also a lot of internalized shame that could potentially be expressed by Oscar going into hiding like this. There's a lot. There's just a lot of material, and because there's so much that's thrown out there, I don't think we'll ever have a straightforward answer as to what happened. And that's, at the end of the day, that's okay.
Well, and I think Oscar's identity only matters because of the next scene we're about to talk about. Because I think that whatever happened to Terry informed Terry's character, and that's about to have a T-bone collision with Sam's character in the next conversation that we have.
Yep. So going the other way out of the basement, we come into the locked off area of the east wing of the house. This is where the kitchen, garage, and a greenhouse are. There are a few clues that we pick up that Ranger Rick invited Janice to an Earth, Wind & Fire concert, and she went. Checking a disciplinary note in the dining room gives us another audio diary. Sam was forced to come out to her mom and dad. But they weren't mad or disappointed, just in denial, saying it's just a phase. First of all, oof. But it's nice to have a narrative where a young queer person isn't having their identity be in crisis. Like, they know who they are. It's the parents who don't, which is going all the way back to the tragedy of this whole story.
Yeah, I mean, there's a moment in this audio diary that is so, I don't know, it's so, I don't have a sibling, but the idea that Sam could tell her sister, I mean, you've known, right? And it just be this assumed knowledge that I don't know, is so beautiful. And then that transitioned into mom and dad didn't. And that's where things got hard.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that Marilee mentioned earlier, but one of the hardest audio diaries to find gives some backstory to the parents. Anytime Katie would bring a boy home, they would threaten to send her to a nunnery. And Sam wonders aloud what fate awaits her if they knew about Lonnie. And again, that's just some dark foreshadowing, but it is notably hard to find audio diary.
Yeah, it's the only one that I didn't get. Like, I even found like the secret thing in the desk. I've got that was the only one. Well, there's one more that I will tell you about later that I didn't get, but that's it. That's all I got. It was very hard. Where was that one?
You had to close the open folder and then look at the notes that were under the TV listings to be able to get this audio diary.
I think I did that. I think I just there must have been another piece of paper that I looked at instead of that one.
Yeah.
In the kitchen, we find a wedding announcement for Ranger Rick, but a calendar on the wall indicates that instead of going to the wedding, Janice and Terry went out of town for an anniversary trip. Details are hastily scrawled on a note to Sam. We can also find a note from Unknown Dimensions that have been trying to find Terry. They're eager to reprint his books, and he has a renewed vigor for his work. On the kitchen table, we can find a story that Sam wrote when she was younger that Daniel brought over. It made her start crying, and she came out to Daniel and apologized for not being his friend anymore.
Wow. Daniel, queer ally, champion. Statues should be made in his honor.
And then, of course, Daniel himself may be queer.
Yeah, well, great. I think there should be tons of statues of queer people.
I love the indie sci-fi publisher. What was it? Unknown Dimension. That's so classic, like indie sci-fi, like Twilight Zone-esque.
For sure.
The note, y'all, the note is to die for, because the note is like, we've been looking for you, but don't worry, we're not the government. It is high camp on high. I love it.
Oh,
it's
so great.
Very much the lone gunman vibes.
Yes.
Totally. Terry's next book also sounds like an extremely 90s thriller, so I'm sure he achieved success from that. But it's nice to have some of these bows tied up in terms of loose ends. We did talk about Janice and Terry, about where and what state they were in when they headed out to their quote-unquote anniversary trip. I don't know. How do we feel about Janice and Terry? Do you think that this is all going to work out, or was this another subversion of where we thought the couple was heading towards?
Honest to God, Ranger Rick's out-of-town being girlfriend being real was such a surprise for me. That really threw me. Because I truly thought that they were going to be having an affair after the concert ticket. Like, we get a little note from Carol to Jan about, like, are you sure that this was what the vibes were? I know that he said he had a girlfriend and that couldn't come. So, like, are you reading this right? So whatever happened there, we'll never know. Yeah. But like the marriage retreat that Jan and Terry are on now, I really hope it works out for those two crazy kids.
The thing that gave me the most hope is that there is a draft of Terry's latest book that you can find in the dining room, and it's a little crumpled, and it obviously has been uncrumpled and laid out, and written on it is "Don't give up on this, honey." And I think that in the same way that Terry's father being dismissive and a complete asshole about Terry's work represents a destruction of their relationship, the support and upholding of his work from his wife tells me that they are recovering. And I think Janice went through a big change. Commutes suck. Commuting to work is one of the things that I think kills people when they have to spend an hour and 30 minutes on the road, which is what Janice had to do when they moved to this house that she probably didn't want. So I get where the conflict comes from, but I think they're on the other side of it, and a willingness to drop everything and go on a retreat for themselves that also coincided with their anniversary. I don't know. It gives me hope.
Well, I mean, it's not just that, though. If you keep looking around the kitchen, you also find that Janice has been promoted to a new position. So presumably she will have a really, like, a less heinous commute in future, which I think couldn't hurt.
Yeah. It's funny because I think just like this isn't a horror game, except it is a horror game, that we get a lot of red herrings about this relationship coming apart, and I think it's that same subversion that things are actually going to be okay for them. And it actually, to me, changed the way that I looked at all these boxes of books. These are from Unknown Dimension. These are his new published works.
So if you actually look at the books, one of the things that I really liked is in the earlier part of the game, you have all of the covers with like the previous publisher, but with the Unknown Dimensions, they have like a completely different cover. They all have a completely different vibe. I was really excited to see like his work presented with this other cover, this new way of looking at them from this new publisher. I think that he's going to have a lot more success in that way.
Right, because the original copies of the books, if they're the original copies from the old publisher that's now defunct, they both have JFK on the cover, and I think one is white and the other cover is black. But then this book from Unknown Dimensions focuses the main protagonist, the time traveler, who's kind of the Terry XB, on the cover instead, looking like a James Bond.
But like with like a cool skull detail. It was like, it looks really cool, like with a watercolor illustration almost. I was really into it. You can also find a business card for the publisher under Terry's side of the bed upstairs, which I thought was really fun foreshadowing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of payoff in this game. The Accidental Survivor is the name of one of his books, The Accidental Savior. And you can actually find a copy of that book in Firewatch, which they would go on to make.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the audio diaries that we've been encountering do have dates associated with them, and we're getting close to the present. So in the hallway, there's another hidden wall panel, but this one's already open, hasn't been resealed. And inside is a flyer for Girl Scout, Lonnie's last show. After looking at it, we get an audio diary from Sam. Lonnie dedicated her last song to Sam, and Sam sadly tells us that she can't follow Lonnie where she's going. It's going to be over for them. Then out in the greenhouse, we find one last hand-drawn map indicating a secret place where they will, quote, do it. An audio diary plays and Sam describes their last night together. They said goodbye to Oscar and ran up to the attic to look at photos to find one that Lonnie could take with her. They cried together, fell asleep, and when Sam woke up, Lonnie was gone.
My girls.
There were real fucking tears that were forming during this part.
You're not alone, Tyler, because Sarah Grayson in the audio commentary says that she was worried about screwing up takes because she cried when she read it. She cried when she stepped up to the microphone for this. And you can feel the real emotion in the final cut of the performance. It's a really well, I mean, Sarah Grayson like knocks it out of the park with every Sam reading, but this is a really, really good one.
Yeah. I just do also want to mention that this happens in the greenhouse where Terry has set up where his typewriter, and if you look in the desk, you can find a completed manuscript of the third and final book in this Accidental Savior trilogy with a note to his publisher saying, hey, I know that you are only interested in reprinting old books, but because of your interest, I dusted this off and I finished it. Here is the manuscript for this one. And it's all about, instead of saving JFK, this time he has to save himself. And I just really love that as like a completion to Terry's arc.
Yeah, I agree.
And you also find the brochure there for the marriage counselor that they're going to go see for their trip.
Now that we know where the hidden room is, we have one last stop. And inside, we find a table where Lonnie and Sam have drawn a pentagram to contact Oscar. When we grab the attic key, a very sad Sam tells us that she could still feel Lonnie with her when she is in the attic. She will decide she will go upstairs and wait.
This one's hard because she's lost everything she cares about and just sounds broken in this reading.
I was honestly afraid of what we would find when we went upstairs for the first time.
Yeah, fucking terrified.
Yeah, we now have access to the attic, and my heart was racing as the stairs to the attic came down in a very unique moment of the player also being paralyzed, which also had not happened up until this point of the game. So you can't move as the stairs descend and the music starts, and your heart should be beating at what you, the player, as Katie, will see when you go upstairs. But what we find is not a scene of horror, but instead a drawing of a broken heart necklace, and the final audio diary plays. Lonnie is at a payphone. She just got off the bus to basic training, and she invites Sam to come and find her and just drive until they can find a place that's home, a place that's just for them. Lonnie asks, "Can you do that?" And Sam says yes. She said yes. At the end of the room, we find a diary labeled Letters to Katie, and we learn that each of these audio diaries was a journal entry that Sam left for us. Credits roll under Complicated by Heavens to Betsy, and the final image we see is the reunited heart pendant of SNL, Sam and Lonnie.
I love love.
I really cried during this part. And just thinking about it makes me emotional again. I just went like, oh, like really loud when I saw the reunited heart pendant at the end of the credits. Also, amazing song. I can't stop listening to it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm alone in that. When I came up to the attic, I expected to find dead Sam. I expected her to have
100%.
Been unable to continue without Lonnie. And so this conclusion was so many more magnitudes better than finding your sister dead that I don't know. it brought you to the correct level of lowness to then jettison you to the heavens of the victory of the story and understanding why everything had happened, why your sister's not home, why she told you not to look into anything, but you did because you're fucking Katie and you have to get answers for things. And I just love it. And I love that Sam and Lonnie get reunited. And I love that they have joy for themselves.
Also,
it means so much to me.
It pays off the answering machine message that you can listen to at the start where you just hear someone crying saying, come get me, or something like that. Initially terrifying, and now we see it all come together in this beautiful moment.
Yeah, and then punctuated by Katie being like, hey, home from Amsterdam, coming home, bye.
I'm going to be home at 1 a.m. because that was the cheapest flight.
Yeah. Also, who just books a flight? Katie, get your life together. It is 1995.
Yeah, it's 1995.
Yeah, it's 95.
It's before 9/11. She didn't have to worry about TSA and having to take her shoes off.
She was just like, I'm just getting on, girl.
She could buy a ticket at the gate. It's fine. She could use cash.
Wow. Incredible game. Thank you all for humoring me and letting us include this as part of the podcast, because it's been one of the most important things I've ever played, and I'm really glad we got a chance to talk about it. I think it's queer as fuck, and I contend that the first time I played this, my heart was just beating out of my chest to go up these stairs.
There's no argument to think that this deserves to be here. I think it counts enough as horror for anything. Like, if this doesn't count, then so many other things doesn't. Like, the actual human emotions that it made me feel definitely make it count as a horror game to me.
Yeah, and we talked about it in our intro episode. We talked about it in our Lisa Frankenstein episode. But the idea that horror always has to be something scary isn't always necessarily true. Like, it can use horror trappings or tropes. And in this case, I think the game does it really, really well to subvert our expectations. But I mean, the horrors that happen in this game, the anxieties are real world anxieties. Homophobia, parents not accepting you, being parted with the person that you love, and the fear of what happened to your sister. All of that stuff plays into this game. And I think it's so wonderful. And go play it if this interests you.
Yeah, listen, if you sat through all of us talking about it without playing the game, again, I hear you, I see you, I am you. You should play it though. It's worth it.
It's always like $5 on Steam.
Well, there's still like 600 things that we didn't talk about that you can interact with and explore, including an achievement for leaving all the faucets on called Wet Bandits.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah, I am.
Oh my god.
I love this game.
Yeah.
What was it again?
Well, if you love this, I just want to pitch that the developer, Fulbright Games, did queer a adventure mystery thriller video game this year in February called Open Roads, and it also looks very queer.
Add that to your Steam wish list, everybody. Add that to if it's on Game Pass, go play it there. If you don't have any electronic devices, tough, watch it on YouTube. Just enjoy it and enjoy queer media. And love this game.
Support small developers.
And listen to punk music, punk girls screaming, because they're the best.
Hell yes. Marilee, is there a 24th audio log that you wanted to talk about before we sort of moved on?
So, I saw in the notes, there's like that one audio log that I missed. So I did some Googling, and I was trying to find like different secrets of where things are. And I found a little walkthrough that was talking about like the Easter eggs in the game. And, the last one was them talking about, if you go into the garage and you look up, there's a purple basketball. You can like take something in the garage, throw it up, get the basketball. If you take that to Sam's room, where there's a basketball hoop on the back of her door, you can throw the basketball into the hoop and you unlock a secret hidden audio. That's like the TV turns on and it's just like a bunch of pictures of the developer's cats. And it's Sam saying meow a bunch of times as if like it's one of her audio journals, except it's just her saying meow for like a minute and a half. I was crying on the floor laughing.
It's fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. 23 heart-wrenching audio logs, and then one that's 30 seconds of meowing.
Amazing work. Everyone should have gotten an Oscar. I know that they don't make video games like Oscars, but they should have for this one.
Well, I believe Gone Home won a couple BAFTAs, so close enough.
Yeah, this was a well-awarded game, which is funny because the conversation today is about like, oh, walking simulators, they're so stupid. But this was revolutionary in 2013 and continues to be one of the great narrative experiences. And I think the derision sent towards games like this, Everybody Gone to Rapture, What Remains of Edith Finch, I think that's unearned. I think that there are fantastic stories that you can tell in even very linear gameplay. And I think that's, what I hope to do for the world. So stop doing that. Naughty people.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing about, Gone Home and like Edith Finch and other things like that, I just want to point out that the interactive nature of the video game make the narrative experience completely different than it would be in any other medium. I don't think that if you saw Gone Home as a movie, it would be quite the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to wander around our houses listening to like a little audio journals and reading all of our notes to ourselves, please don't do that. But you can find notes that we've written to you on our social media feeds. Come find us at Fear Coded Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
And as a reminder, this podcast is a proud part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you'd like to listen to more queer media podcasts, maybe you've got a locker with Jodie Foster on it and you want to go check out the mixed reviews covering Jodie Foster for their Pride Month episode, you can see the full roster of shows at glitterjaw.com. But next time, don't adjust your podcast listening device. We are heading in to the Twilight Zone. Oh no. Oh no, my bat is not ready for this. Bye!
Bye!